Well, good evening, everyone. It's Monday, May the 5th, or May the 4th, excuse me. May the 4th be with you all. I'd like to welcome everyone to the virtual Zoom Whitestown Redevelopment Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is a call to order. So, Nathan, if you wouldn't mind taking us away for that.
Yes. Brian Breitmeyer.
Here.
Kyle Weathers.
Present.
Adam Hess. I see he's on here. Are we maybe having a mic? Yeah, he's hang on, muted. Adam Hess.
I'm here.
April Wyckoff.
Here.
Rob Worrell.
Here.
Elizabeth Keith.
Here.
And Michael Berg.
Here. Perfect. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, but a little different as we're off location, don't have a flag. So I think we're planning to, perfect, okay with Steve to go ahead and move on.
Yes.
So next item on the agenda, and Nathan gave us a quick little overview, but Nathan, if you wouldn't mind kind of walking through some of the procedures for a video conference meeting as well.
Yeah, so as we come in, everyone will be muted as we come in. You'll notice in the group chat, I've added some notes in there. Those are standardized notes for meetings we're using. If you have any difficulty in this, email myself. I should be at the top listed as host and then my name. All roll calls, all votes will be roll call. So when we vote on something after a motion and second, I'll read through. After Brian calls for a roll call, I'll read through all names and you'll have to speak at that time, yay or nay in favor of. Other than that, unless there's anything he wants to add, it's pretty straightforward.
Any initial questions for Nathan? Okay, before we move on, I would like to add an item to the agenda for item B under new business, and that's to discuss and consider support for a small business loan program, which is the Boone EDC loan program. So if anyone has any concerns, or if not, I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add that item under new business for item B.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? If not, I'd like to go ahead and go through a roll call.
Okay, sorry, switch screens again. Brian Breitmeyer.
Yep.
Kyle Weathers.
Yes.
Adam Hess.
Yes.
April Wyckoff. She muted herself.
She acknowledged, but yeah.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Rob Worrell.
Yes.
So that is for item B. Okay, next is presentations. Don't see anything on the agenda. Nathan, we don't have any presentations, correct?
No.
Next item would be to look at the approval for the meeting minutes from our March 2nd meeting. So anyone have a chance to review those? Any questions, concerns, edits, revisions?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March 2nd meeting.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, would like to go ahead and consider that for a roll call.
Okay. Brian Breitmeyer.
Yes.
Kyle Weathers.
Yes.
Adam Hess.
Yes.
April Wyckoff.
Yes.
Rob Worrell.
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Seeing no items for unfinished business, I'd like to go ahead and move on to new business. And item A is to consider resolution approving the second enlargement of Whitestown Fishback Creek ERA #1, which is also approving a deduction application for GDI Holdings. Should have the resolution, the application included in that. Rachel, I didn't know if you want to discuss anything for that or maybe for the next item, but if not, would like to open that up for discussion for this. If not, Nathan, did you have anything to add about just the general overview, the investment? What's the size of the property?
I didn't have. I can open the documents if you'd like. Those should be out to the members. Let me.
I can say a couple of things, Nathan, while you're looking. This is the Fishback Creek development project. There is, it's really kind of Terry McCardwell's the guy that the town deals with usually on these. They have a building there that we've already granted abatement for. They've got a project they're looking at. They want a second building that's about 15,000 square feet. It's only about 4 acres. You guys have already done an economic revitalization area once and expanded it as he's added property to that development. There's about 4 acres of a few homes that he is, I think, has worked out a deal to acquire their property. And we are, the town is going to initiate the process. We have a petition for super voluntary annexation for those 4 acres, so it's not in the town yet. We'll introduce an ordinance this month at the council meeting and go through that process. And then after we're done annexing it, we will start the declaratory resolution process for the abatement at the council level. But it was, Terry really wanted to get this in front of the RDC sooner than later so that he could show the developer that the town is interested in, is still going to kind of go down this path. So still ultimately up to the council on this, and we got to complete the annexation first. But this is, as you guys know, we bring all these in front of the Redevelopment Commission as well. So we wanted to do that now.
Yeah, then a spec abatement is nothing new. We've done this many, many times. If there's any questions or discussion, I'd like to entertain a motion.
And just to be clear, he does have an occupant picked out. Is that correct?
Yes, I think, yes. It's with this in the 400,000 square foot right next door.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're pretty close to announcing who that is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific one in mind, I should say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
I think he told me this is really build to suit, this 15,000 square foot. Is that right, Nathan?
Yes, that was what I was understanding.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I haven't heard who, but I was told it was. And this was one of the keys to them kind of closing the deal was the abatement. It's a standard 10-year step down abatement.
Mm-hmm. And it's just about the speed of market, so they can go ahead and assure them that all this is already in place moving forward.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-03 for the Fishback Creek ERA #1.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2020-03. Is there any further discussion? If not, would go ahead and entertain a vote by roll call.
Brian Brackmeyer,
Yes.
Kyle Weathers,
Yes.
Adam Hess,
Yes.
April Wyckoff,
Yes.
Rob Worrell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is item B. We discussed earlier. This has been a very spur of the moment discussion. The Boone EC has a fantastic small business loan program, and they've really been using that to cater that to assist especially small businesses during COVID-19. Another resource, if you will, to help retain a lot of our businesses that are struggling, not able to open during the time being. So Nathan, I had a couple conversations. I thought it'd be fantastic if we would be able to participate in some of that, and can't think of a better funding mechanism than TIF. I mean, TIF receives our money from businesses, and this is another way to support the funding that they provide to the community back to them. So this is something that we wanted to bring in front of the council to see if anyone had any, or the commission, excuse me, to see if anyone had any strong opinions either way. But wanted to, Rachel, if you wouldn't mind discussing a little bit what's going on right now with your loan program, and maybe this would provide added benefit and value to that or not.
Of course. First off, thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to speak on behalf of the program. So this program is the Boone County Small Business Economic Relief Fund. Essentially, it's a 3-part program that combines advisory, advocacy, and then a loan program. Specifically with the loan program, it's for any existing small business in Boone County that needs help with any working or non-working capital expenditure during this time, specifically an economic downturn related activities. So with that, it's up to $10,000 loan with terms of 0% for 24 months or 2.75% for 60 months. An opportunity really just for them to make a rent payment, to pay inventory as it's coming through, to be able to hold on to employees during this time, as well as just to make sure that operations are going smoothly in the downturn. This program is built on the infrastructure of our microloan program, which we have previously used and will continue to use in the future for any startup or small business in the county, using it for any non-working capital purchase. So really any expansion in the building, any remodels, and or any large equipment purchases for that program. So it's really, we have just retooled the microloan program to use for this Small Business Economic Relief Fund, and we intend to have this infrastructure in place should another economic relief or should another economic downturn happen in our local economy. More than anything, it's just a direct way to help our local businesses. 79% of our employers here locally employ less than 9 people. It's just one of the efforts that we're trying to give them financial tools to use going forward. So with that, really just open up to any questions or concerns that I may be able to help with during this time.
Any other municipalities have funded or been a part of this?
Yes, so currently the City of Lebanon has given $50,000 for any Lebanon small businesses to be utilized for this program. Any funds that are not used by the end of the year will be then returned to the City of Lebanon. So those are the current terms for that. Any terms that are distributed with this program will then be essentially will be looped back into our microloan program for Lebanon small businesses in the future.
And what's the application process look like for businesses?
Of course. So with the application process, what that looks like is that we have retooled our microloan application. So existing small businesses are able to apply on our website. In addition to that, we also request a business summary plan, which for our microloan program, we request the full gamut of a business plan. For this, given the times, we understand that's not the best use of a small business owner's time. So because of that, we request essentially is a no more than 3 to 4 page overview of the business. In addition to that, we request profit loss statements for the past 2 years, in addition to the current balance sheet, and if that's not available, the balance sheet as of 12/31/2019. And then finally, just to make sure that they're in good standing with the state of Indiana, the Boone EDC, and Boone County as a whole.
Great. Part of, if we were to be able to be a part of this too, would that include a representative from the town of Whitestown to be able to serve on some of that committee as well? Anyone have any initial questions for Rachel? Any thoughts about participating in this as well?
Rachel, are not-for-profits allowed to apply as well?
At this time, we're restricting it to for-profit entities. So for any business that has been established for 2 years that have 30 employees or less is really that target market that we have.
Have you started receiving any applications as of yet?
Yes, so we have received 3 total applications as of when we started this. 2 of them have actually been granted loans as of right now. We usually have a 5 to 7 business day turnaround. We try to keep that as tight as possible. So we understand the $10,000 may not be a lot, but even if it's a bridge as they're receiving additional federal and or other local funding, they're able to. With that being said, we have reached out in the past 5 days to about 40 businesses to let them know that we have actually increased the loan amount. Originally, when we launched the program, it was at $5,000, and now we've raised it to the $10,000 loan limit because of the additional funding we've been able to receive. So all that being said, we've reached out to 40 direct contacts with businesses. In addition to that, we're using our social media campaign and platform, as well as then our small business e-newsletters and things like that that have approximately 170 individuals that we reach out to.
I've seen a lot of great outreach for it.
Is there any stipulations to the loan as far as, layoffs go? As far as employee retention?
There are no stipulations in that sense that they have to retain a specific number of employees. What we request in the application is essentially your priority list of items that you wish to use the funding for. So for instance, one of the loan applicants requested they wanted to use all of it for rent and be able to make sure that their doors would stay open by the time that the rollout would happen. In addition to that, they wanted to use it for inventory. The other program, they had a very large sum for their payroll, so which initially had the $5,000, were able to just be granted specifically for the payroll. So there aren't any specifications as of that. We do then request receipts for any of the items that they have requested as their priority list. So with that, for the loans that we have given out for payroll, we've asked for non-confidential information to show proof of payment to the payroll. We've also asked for the rent, proof of payment for your lease, things like that. So.
Any businesses that are excluded that fit the category besides nonprofits?
At this point, the businesses that are excluded are startups, specifically in those 0 to 2 years. The reason for that is just because of risk tolerance. At the beginning of this program, we contributed all of our microloan funding. So looking forward to the future, we wanted to make sure that we had that funding going forward. So that was just one measure we take. We are understanding though that these are, given the times and in general, just the general nature of a microloan program, these are higher risk loans. So because of that, we take that into consideration with every loan that we administer.
Have you received any interest from any businesses located within Whitestown? Or do you have any targets you think that would be potentially good to reach out to?
So we have not received any interest as of yet for Whitestown. However, in the past 5 days, so really on Friday and then today, I reached out directly to about 10 small businesses in Whitestown that I think would be a good interest for this program. And with that, we're really targeting with the municipalities that are able to join us in this effort. We are specifically targeting outreach even more so with the direct communication.
Anyone else have any more questions for Rachel?
Is there any type of business, like do they have to be a sole proprietorship or LLC only? Or is there any designation with that?
At this point, we are very flexible with that. It really is a case-by-case situation, and that is one thing that we are, so all of the applications, I review and discuss it with the applicant one-on-one. Following that, it is reviewed by our microloan committee, which currently consists of a City of Lebanon representative from their City Council, our Boone EDC Executive Director Molly Whitehead, our Boone EDC President Brock Hassler, and then our banking partner from Home National Bank, Dan Fry. So with that, they review all of the microloan or for this, the Small Business Economic Relief Fund. So with that, we use both the grading metric as well as then an overall personal review, just because this is both a qualitative and a quantitative review for it. But we try to be as flexible as possible given the parameters of 2 years in business and 30 employees. There is more additional information on our website, which we have made open to anyone with the frequently asked questions, just to kind of help outline it, as well as then my immediate contact information for any questions on that.
And my last question is any monies that come from Whitestown, are we allowed, I don't know if we want to, but are we allowed to say it's only for Whitestown businesses, or are we giving to a Boone fund?
That would be completely up to your perspective and what you would want. We are completely flexible with that. We understand that contributing Whitestown dollars could and should go to the 2 businesses in Whitestown, as well as we understand that any contribution to Whitestown would be able to benefit all. Sorry, I'm spacing the phrase, but all tides raises all boats. sort of thing. So we understand that also within the community that this is a joint effort, and we're trying to aid as many businesses as possible.
And you mentioned under the terms that Lebanon provided when they provide their grant funding that was to help assist 11 businesses. But then at the end of the year, for the funds that had not been released, would go back to the city, correct?
Yes.
Brian, now we're pushing this forward to the council. Is that the process?
So this would, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but I don't think we need council's support on this because this is coming from the TIF, correct?
Correct.
And that would really kind of help with some of the urgency from some of these businesses are operating day by day, and any additional support I think will be appreciated. Just speaking for myself, I think this is one of the reasons why the RDC was created, to use the financial resources that we have to help support local residents and businesses. So this is something I would urge everyone to consider moving forward this evening to really match Lebanon's terms, where they provided $50,000 to the Boone EDC to administer for their loan program, but would want this to support Whitestown businesses, but open for everyone else's opinion as well. And for the funds that would not been loaned out during this calendar year could be returned back or would be returned back to the RDC, or we could consider to keep it within their funds for this program.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. If we want to attract small businesses and be business friendly, I think we should show support to the small businesses in the area, just to say we do have your back during this rough time. That way, anybody else who looks to come in knows that we're serious about attracting businesses to help our local residents.
Brian, something I would like to recommend, I'm not on the board, but as staff, is to consider at the end of the year, it come back in front of the board and talk about going into the microloan program if money is left, because small businesses make up a large chunk of what we have. And while this is gone, that small business, as Rachel said, it's out of money for moving forward. But if it is earmarked for Whitestown businesses only, at that point, it's just going to help encourage more small business in the area. Great companies like Fun Days I believe they were one of the microloan recipients in the past, and they're great in the community. They do great things for the community. So that's just an example of what this program can help do for the local area.
Is there a specific fund you would see it coming out of? I know we just got those numbers a few weeks ago, or at the last meeting maybe.
Likely from Maple Grove.
Okay.
Yeah, Maple Grove is our healthiest. A lot of them have. The Perry Industrial has money. The Anson's starting to go positive, but Maple Grove's probably the healthiest. Well, it is the healthiest currently.
Do we have any analytics as far as how many companies we have that fit the criteria as far as the length and the employees? Just curious.
I can certainly follow up with you on that. I know for sure, given there are at least 10 with what I reached out to today. I will be fair in the assessment that each day I kind of go through all of the different business listings that we have in the area, and then just go to the websites, review all of the information online, as well as then do direct emails as well as phone calls to those businesses. I will certainly follow up with that back.
Rachel, one more question. I'm sorry. Nathan brought up Fun Days as a good example. They have 2 locations. Do they get quote unquote punished in their employee count for their other location that's not within Whitestown? Does that count against them?
That does not count against them.
Okay.
With that being said, if it is a very large chain where you have more than really 2 and up to 10, that would definitely be taken into consideration. But that kind of goes to my earlier point with the qualitative and the quantitative kind of reaction with both the review as well as in the microloan committee. We take all of that into consideration going forward. But more than anything, we really focus on Boone County establishments, and within that, if you have an establishment in Boone County, what that is applicable.
So, Steve, if everyone is comfortable moving forward on this tonight, what would the procedure be for that too? What would you need other than just a motion? Anything else additionally, is that sufficient?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. What I would do is, what I would suggest we do, I don't know what you guys did with Lebanon, but if we're going to put conditions on it, we'd probably do some kind of like a grant letter agreement that we would say, here's the conditions that are on it, and then you guys could just sign it to accept it, just so that we have that kind of written out so everybody's clear on that. I don't know if you guys did an agreement with Lebanon or anything, but that's probably the easiest way to do it. I mean, if you guys just want to make a motion and authorize me and staff to put that together and get it to Brian, and Brian can sign off on what the final terms are of it, we can do that and get it done pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So Brian, can you quickly run through what the intent of the requirements you think might be in there? Just a straw man version?
So ideally it would be a $50,000 grant to the Boone County Economic Development Corporation to support small businesses within the town of Whitestown. I'm not sure if I would not recommend putting any sort of employment metrics on there, but then that would be to their own revolving loan fund program until the end of the year. If those funds are not utilized, then we will have the ability to go ahead and revisit that, either be returned to us or go ahead and continue to be within their own loan program. Additionally, would like to have a representative from the town to serve on their committee, and I would actually recommend that Kyle be our representative on that. With his background, I think he'd be a great fit to administer that, or at least represent the town for those loans as well.
Sorry, Kyle, just has to be unmuted. You got muted.
Sorry, had the kids bomb in, if you will. Yeah, I would. Brian would love to be part of that committee. I have to run it through my compliance department first, just to make sure it would be okay. But I don't see any pushback from my company at all. I just would have to do the due diligence just to make sure that it would be okay.
And Kyle, I would also encourage you, if, as we talked about, a high tide raises all boats. If there is a business that comes to the commission that maybe it's not in Whitestown, but we believe is a critical part of Boone County, feel free to bring that feedback back to this committee if there's a need to support them any further than what we've committed to here.
Absolutely.
With that, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the $50,000 micro loan with suggestion from council and a signature from staff as proposed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, would entertain a roll call.
Brian Brackmeyer,
Yes.
Kyle Weathers,
Yes.
Adam Hess,
Yes.
April Wyckoff,
Yes.
and Rob Worrell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
And for the record, that'll come from the Maple Grove TEF would be.
Yes. Moving on to other business, believe that actually Nathan's got an update on the Rex ground, actually.
Yes, so we have some developers who are starting to reach out, interested in trying to acquire some of that land for development. Our environmental, we're hoping, has a clearance on some of the underground stuff this fall. It's passed the most recent tests. It has to pass multiple in a row before they can remove the underground testing wells. Over half of them were removed last year. We hope for the rest to be removed still this year. But and Steve can step in if I get out of line on the understanding here, but to sell the land off and develop, we have to put an RFP out for developers, request for proposals. So the plan would be to have the land appraised, put together an RFP that states all the conditions of what we want developed on the land, put that proposal out. If we put it as the example, 100 acres appraises at $4.5 million. We put it out an RFP of, hey, we want a developer that can put these items. here's the 100 acres, the development, the amount of AV we want, various things. I'd like to work with Brian and possibly another member of the board with getting that RFP approved and put out. And then once we get the results back from that RFP, then those would come in front of the board, and the board can make a decision at that time if they wanted to move forward with one, multiple, negotiate whatever with those proposals. But from my understanding, this is a required part of selling and offloading the land, just as we did previously with portions that's now with the Little League. So it's just a step in that process, and Steve can reiterate or answer any of the deeper questions with the legal end. But that's the plan and intent, is to start getting that land developed.
Well, and Nathan and I have talked about this. I mean, it is the same process that we went through for the parcel that we transferred, or that we've agreed to transfer, and they're still kind of working through some site development stuff. But with the Little League, we would get 2 updated appraisals of the property that we have left. And then we put out an RFP, or the statute calls it an offering packet. We publish notice, basically offer the property and request proposals for people to purchase it and develop it from the town. And under the statute, we have to say that the minimum offering price is the average of the 2 appraisals. So it would actually, the notice would say it's appraised for $4 million and the minimum offering price is this. Make proposals to us for how you want to develop it, what incentives incentives you would want. And then those would all have to be opened in a public meeting. So maybe in a Zoom meeting, who knows where we are at that point, but those would all they would come in sealed, we would open them, and then the commission can consider those, review them for 30 days, negotiate, but for the first 30 days after they're opened, you can't transfer it for less than the average of those 2 appraisals. But after that point, we could work any kind of a special deal with a developer, whatever we think that is in the community's best interest for transferring that property and getting it developed. So it's just kind of one of the hoops we have to jump through to be able to transfer the property, no matter who we're going to transfer it to. And so I think kind of in Nathan's idea and in discussing this is, the sooner we get this done, and we may get no proposals. I've seen that done before. Nobody submits a proposal, but we've gone through the process, and then we have the ability to work directly with developers that may be interested in the property, but maybe don't want to pay full price or full appraised value of it. So it's kind of a step in the process that allows the Redevelopment Commission the flexibility to be able to develop it ultimately, and really gives the public an opportunity, or any developer, to see that we're offering it, what it's appraised for, and submit a proposal to you guys, and maybe somebody submits a great proposal that we hadn't thought about before. So it's just kind of the hoop we got to jump through to be able to transfer this, whether we transfer it this year or next year or 2 years from now. It's a good idea to get it done now and give us the flexibility then later on if that's where we are.
And you mentioned the flexibility. This doesn't bind the commission or anything. It really almost just kind of lets us test the market to see what kind of interest there could be out there from developers, correct?
Yeah. You're just, until those come in and we open them and the 30 days run, we can't transfer it except for the average of those 2 appraisals, or at least the average of those 2 appraisals.
Mm-hmm.
How long does the RFP have to be open for from the time we announce?
Yeah, I mean, when we get the first step is really, and we've got a draft done. It's just getting the appraisals, and then we can plug those in, and then we would put on the website, and it would be published in the newspaper 2 times, 1 week apart, with the second one at least 7 days before. So we can do it longer. I think on the Little League parcel, we basically published 15 days or 30 days and probably 15 days before that they were accepted. So we can kind of Nate can get word out and kind of get word out that we're going through this process, and to the guys that might be interested in developing this, and then we'll get it in the newspaper and get it on the website. But it's really less than 30 days, unless you guys wanted to do longer.
Mhm.
Can you refresh, it was before my time on the board, but just how Whitestown acquired that and if there were any stipulations placed on it at the time?
I mean, we purchased the property directly. The Redevelopment Commission did from the Rex Inc., which was the Maurer family, the Maurer sisters. After some lengthy, Nathan will tell you, and Brian, some lengthy negotiations. There are, and we acquired, Nathan, how much total? 150 acres?
133 plus or minus, because some
130
of the lines were questionable.
Which really included the salvage yard, what people think of as the salvage yard, and then property north of it, going all the way to Traders Point Church. 5 acres that we acquired, the town is using for the fire station, the new fire station that's being built there. That's kind of the northern boundary. Also acquired about 40 of the acres were across the street east on the other side of Indianapolis Road. Mm-hmm. That's where we already have an economic development agreement with the Little League and Kite Harris for the Little League piece, and then the mixed use development from Kite Harris. There is on the as Nathan was alluding to, on the salvage yard site, there are some environmental issues that are there. And there is so we had to work quite a bit through that with the Maurers, how we were going to handle that. There are different pieces to the environmental issues. One of the pieces has to do with the groundwater, and they are responsible for those costs. And that's the monitoring wells that are in the ground that they are responsible for. And then there are some other issues that are like really, I would say, Nate, probably like metal and tires kind of in the dirt that you might expect from a salvage yard. And those are costs that ultimately will be borne by or built into the development, because it's really, I think, something that when you're going and putting in a foundation, that's when we know what's going to be there, that'll dictate what the remediation looks like, what kind of barriers are put in, or how deep you can go, and that sort of thing. So that'll be there is an environmental restrictive covenant that is recorded against the property. And I referenced that in the offering packet that we put out there, but that'll be something that anybody that's going to develop that piece will have to take into account.
And we've had multiple developers reach out in the past, almost 2.5, 3 years on this, asking questions when they can develop everything from multifamily, mixed use, medical, recreation, sports, fitness. So there's a wide variety of people that we already have a list of that are interested in this land. Most of them have already seen some form of the environmental documents of what the restrictions are. And as Steve said, that once the underground stuff, hopefully this fall, is remediated, everything that is on site is not acceptable for residential use, because you don't want to dig up a bumper in the backyard. But if you ever went out, it's a lot of just debris, old busted tail light pieces, nuts, bolts, pieces of cars, tires. They took it as a pride thing back then, as they recycled the tires and ground them up and turned them into pathway. Well, that's not the most environmental friendly thing today. They need cleaned, not just ground up and thrown on the ground. So a lot of that kind of stuff, it varies between 3 and 5 feet deep on the site, but everything is kind of just surface safety. It can, as long as no dirt leaves the site, there's no problem. It can be put into berms, other items on site, and then capped and covered, as long as they're not in what's considered recreation or open green space. So there's a lot of on-site remediation that can be done from that point. If anything is hauled off, they do have to pay and dispose of properly. go through a lot of paperwork on that end. And we've been letting the developers interested know those conditions coming in.
And is that all Eagle Township or?
I don't think the very back. I think there's a little piece of it that's not Eagle Township.
That's in Perry Township. When you get west of Traders Point, so we're south of Traders Point, still kind of west of Traders Point. When you get closer to the golf course, you get out of Eagle Township and into Perry Township.
There's about 6 acres of it, I would say, that's within Perry Township.
Okay, so mostly Eagle.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't hear if you guys, if I can, let me see. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's turned sideways. Here is this is what is left that we would be disposing, that we would put in the offering packet. Here is Indianapolis Road. This was also purchased. That's the fire station. Here's Traders Point Church. Here's the township line right here.
So that's closer to probably 20 acres. That's
so this would be in Perry. This would be former Eagle, and this is the salvage yard piece right here. Really this, and then this is just farm ground.
Okay, thank you.
So Nathan, looking to potentially develop an RFP for that, what all are you seeking prior to our next meeting?
I just kind of like the RDC's blessing and moving forward with putting that RFP out. I don't want to put something out there if it gets released before the next meeting. I just want everyone to be aware and know what's going on. And if I know Kyle, Adam, any other members just want to kind of review that RFP as it's going out, or kind of see what we're putting out, that we're not putting something that's already specific to, hey, it's pretty much going to be this developer or that developer. And we're not showing any favoritism in it, which we want to keep it, I don't want to say very vague, but we do want to keep it open and just kind of, hey, here's the value, here's what we want to happen, and put it out to get responses back from developers.
Yeah, I would absolutely love Adam's input on that too, with his background in real estate. But Steve, would you want a motion to be able to prepare an RFP or not?
Yeah, if you guys are comfortable, I mean, I guess we're going to need to get the appraisals. It's just how quickly Nathan can get the appraisals done. If I think, I don't know, Nathan, are we going to be able to get the appraisals back and get an RFP or get this published in time for the June meeting?
It might get out. I don't know that we'll have results. It's really up to the appraisals. As I've told you on some other projects, right now we're having a hard time getting appraisals. I plan to reach out to the 2 that have did the appraisals in the first place on the land and see if they can update those appraisals just to kind of save time and move forward.
I'd say, Brian, maybe what we do right now is authorize Nathan to go ahead and go out and get the 2 appraisals and get going on putting the full offering packet together. And then next month we can put that in front of you guys to approve, and then we can get it published and open them in July. Would be probably a realistic timeline.
All right, perfect. Does anybody have any additional questions for Nathan or Steve? If not, would entertain a motion to authorize Nathan to go ahead and pursue appraisals, and then go ahead and develop the initial RFP for review.
Making a motion as such.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? If not, would like to go ahead and finish up with a roll call.
Brian Brackmeyer,
Yes.
Kyle Weathers,
Yes.
Adam Hess,
Yes.
April Wyckoff,
Yes.
Rob Worrell.
Yes.
Perfect. Is there any other business anyone wanted to discuss?
I was just going to say, could you share that offer letter once it's together with the folks on the commission?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ready to adjourn, everybody? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Have a good night, everybody.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Be well.
Thanks for hosting. I'll
Hey,
make
guys.
Yep, thank you.